I want to sing you this little number back when I first began to play a guitar. The first guitar I ever bought, I bought it from a black man, and I gave him $7 for that guitar, and I carried it home, and I couldn't tune it. I went to bed that night, and during the night I had a dream, and that tuning came to me. I got up and tuned that guitar, and I have never forgot how to tune a guitar from then on. Oh, that goes back, let's say 28 or 29, 1928 or 29. Oh, about 16, just 16-year-old. So I began to play that guitar. I'll tell you a little story about when I used to play for square dances. We'd go out to these square dances and begin to play, and there'd be an old fiddler in the corner up there, and we had a little dim kerosene lamp. It didn't even have no globe on it, and it was really dark in there, buddy. Well, the old fiddler would be in the corner, and the banjo picker, he'd be in another corner with a chaw of tobacco in his mouth. And I learned to play the guitar, and I began to play with them. And they'd play a few tunes, and they'd say, well, we got to retune. I said, what for? He said, well, you can't play with us. You can't play with us. And I began to think about that thing. I said, well, what's the problem? And I began to study a guitar, and I found out what the problem was. All they did was just switch keys. And the guitar players and the banjo players couldn't play but in one key. Well, I found out how to play in all the different keys. Usually in C and A. In C and A. Well, one night we went down on the Okanokie Swamp to a little log cabin down there. And they began to gather in all the pretty little girls. They didn't have no shoes on. They had their calico dresses on and no shoes. They didn't anyone have any shoes. I didn't have any myself because you couldn't buy back in that time. You didn't have the money. And we began to play about sundown, and the next morning at sunup, we were still playing right there. And there come an old character from the swamp over there about daylight the next morning. He said, Josh, said, you have a fish fry here last night? He said, no, why? He said, well, all them fish scales on the floor there. He said, that ain't fish scales, that's toenails. From that. So that's just about the way I used to play for the square dances and everything. Okay, I'll play you one right here. I don't know too many of the verses, but Cindy was a good gal. I can play you about 2 verses of it. That's about all I know. Cindy was a good gal, I've loved her all my life. If I ever marry, oh, Cindy'll be my wife. Oh, get along home, Cindy, get along home, Cindy, get along home, Cindy, I'll marry you someday. Wish I was an apple hanging on a tree. Every time that Cindy passed, I wish she'd take a bite of me. Oh, get along home, Cindy, get along home, Cindy, get along home, Cindy, I'll marry you someday. Well, the old fiddler player, you know, he'd come in and take a course of it, and the old banjo picker, he'd take a course too.